Recording.
Great.
Five,
Hello, and welcome to the November 21st meeting of the Revitalization Trust Fund. And um, just as a reminder that this is a Zoom meeting and that it is being recorded. So be aware that anything that you would not want to be able to have as part of the recording in your background or in the documents you share, you want to make sure that you keep those private. So, welcome everyone, and let's start off by just approving the minutes for October's meeting. Um, the the minutes, were distributed a few days ago. I know there's a little bit of a glitch in terms of being able to actually get the document. So, let me know if none of you received them, then we can postpone the acceptance of the minutes since you wouldn't have been able to read them. So, did anyone else were they able to get just you can unmute and just let us know. Were you able to see them?
I don't think I did.
No.
I didn't get anything.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we'll resend that out and then we'll just put that on the agenda item for December and that'll be fine. So next, let's move on to update on the Bert Wilkstrom bench. The bench has been fully installed, and Sandy Wickstrom has been to the bench. She loves it. She said that she sits there and talks to Bert, which is really sweet. And she's decided at this time anyway that she doesn't want to do any kind of dedication or whatever. She'd just like to be able to have just the experience with herself and the friends who she'll tell as she goes around and lets people know. So that's really the update, but she was really happy about it and it came out beautifully. So and thanks to Eric's help with when we went out to assemble them.
Oh, where is that bench?
Second time was a charm.
Yes, that's right. That bench is on Greens Field. It's at the very front of Greens Field.
Okay.
There's a pathway there that has actually has a total of 4 benches around there. We have replaced now 3 out of the 4. So we have one more that we can still do there at Greens Field. And they're all matching. They're all black powder coated steel bench with the flush mounted bronze colored plaque. And on Bert's plaque, the little phrase that they decided they wanted on there was people would keep asking him for a number of years now. So Bert, when are you going to retire? And his line was always, "I'm too old to retire." So that's what's actually on the plaque.
That's cute.
Let's see. The update on the Casey bench. The Casey bench is at Mitchell School. And it was, this is the one where we actually created a mock-up of the bench. So because the bench wasn't going to be, the pad had been installed at the Mitchell School. It's right along the pathway at the front of the school, just set into the garden area. And after the DPW had done, Park and Forestry had done a beautiful job of being able to set up the ground to receive the pad. And so when we delivered the pad, it dropped right in, flush, looks just beautiful. But it wasn't but the bench itself wasn't going to actually show up in time for the race, which is the Jog Your Memory race, to which the bench and the Callies it's dedicated to. So we created a mock-up with fast signs that was a pretty much life-size rendering of what it looks like that stands up. And so we put that there. And so there was the image of the bench as if, it was almost there. And so all the runners who came in over the finish line all ran right past it. And people were really just delighted, and especially the family members. His daughter was, literally moved to tears, and she was so happy about the whole thing. But now the actual physical bench is there, and they actually sent me a photograph of them all sitting on the bench, enjoying it. So they were very happy about the whole thing, and it'll be there for, basically the all the coming races as they go forward. So
Good.
so that's another great thing. Let's see. Middleton bench. So now we move over to Cricket Field, and Cricket Field, the concrete pad was also pre-installed. And again, thanks to Park and Forestry and the DPW for making that the preparation work to receive the pad there, and and also citing the location for the bench. So even though one of the things that we didn't know was that they actually shipped the soccer games that are played on Cricket Field over to one of the other to DeFazio Field, because DeFazio has lights. And when we, fall back, that it basically gets too dark to, to play soccer without lights. Um, so, but they were, really happy about the fact that when the bench did come in, that they've seen it. It looks great, and now it'll be there as a memorial to to Coach Middleton, for having basically, and all pun intended, kicked off the Needham Soccer League, and then, being creating the connections between these many other leagues that have now become a really huge network of soccer teams that are now tied together and play both in Needham and play in other towns throughout the championship playoffs. So that one is installed and looks great. On the Booney bench, Catherine Booney, that the only thing we're waiting for is them to finish the dredging of the of the Needham Reservoir. And I talked to them a couple of days ago, and the latest update has been basically they hope to finish by mid-December.
Oh, okay.
So apparently, it's taken them, much longer than they ever expected to be able to finish the work. And the DPW, really isn't comfortable being able to move the bench into place until they're actually through with their work. They just want to be sure that, they would go in safely. So that's basically, all we can do. The Boonies are certainly, and their family are certainly, really looking forward to having the bench in. But, we just have to wait for them to do that and hope the weather stays with us so we can get it done, easily. All right. From Needham to the World. So number one is that the Charlie Baker unveiling was really awesome. We had over 30 people who came out to be able to see it. And Charlie Baker himself came to be able to be part of the whole thing. He got to also meet with a bunch of the people that he had grown up with, gone to high school with, or lived, just, on his street, or just a block or two away. And everybody remembered, hey, I only lived a block away from from you. And there was another gentleman and his wife who now live on Coolidge Street, which is just a street over. Um, and actually, excuse me, they live on Prince Street, but Coolidge is the street, parallel to it. And they just moved to Needham within the last 3 years. And they already knew the story of the fact that Charlie Baker had lived just a block over, and they were really thrilled about it, and I thought it was really cool to be able to live so close to where he had been. So he talked about a whole variety of things, and one of the things he talked about was just the teachers that had taught him and inspired him, And he really felt that based on this particular teacher's enthusiasm for sociology and things along that line, that that really sparked his interest in things political. And so basically, he always remembers, the experience of, thinking, wow, that could be really interesting. And, then the rest of his life is basically going on to be in the, in the public eye doing, really wonderful things in leadership, not only just, of course, as the governor of the state, but of some business organizations and now of the NCAA. So it was a really nice time. His dad is living in North Hill, and his mom unfortunately passed away just a little while ago, who was also at North Hill. So he keeps coming back to Needham, which is fantastic, and it was really a nice reunion of a whole variety of different people. So again, thanks tremendously to Seymour Levy, who he and I worked together on any of these things to be able to sort of assemble the layouts and so on. But he does just unbelievably beautiful graphic arts work. And one of the things that I thought was funny that definitely wanted to relate was the fact that I had told Charlie that in the upper right-hand corner they had this picture of him standing with this group of people. And uh, um, that Seymour had written the script for underneath it. And it said, Charlie Baker stands tall among the NCAA players. And if you look at the picture, you can see that even though Charlie Baker is 6'6", he's the shortest guy in the entire picture. When I pointed it out to him, he said, it's so funny. He said, because I've shown that picture to a lot of people just for that reason, because I never realized how big these guys were. He said, but they're not just tall. I mean, they're just big and wide and solid people that like, 250 and they can run fast. So he got a real kick out of looking at the different images and pictures of his house and certainly the basketball shots, and just sort of taking it from here. He was playing on Needham basketball, and now he's the president of the NCAA. So it's just an amazing journey that he's continued to have, and we hope that he'll have many long years of being able to do great things in the athletics world. And also, one of the other things too, of course, is it's tremendous thanks to Jessica as the not only the liaison between the Baker people, um, but also helping collect, obviously, put all the information together for the profile and to get the some of the photographs, which came, some of them of which came directly from his from the NCAA assistant that he has there, helping us, really complete the picture. Yeah, complete the picture of the, of Charlie Baker's life and, in time. So great job again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Update on the from Needham to the World sponsorships. Well, number one is we had the Charlie Baker sponsorship sponsored by an anonymous donor. So that was fantastic, and that all got covered. We also had another donation, which came from Louise Condon, who is sponsoring the March through June 2025.
Mm.
So we've got our first one, basically, already in place, and Jessica's now going to have to figure out what it is that we, show us the ones that we're considering for the next round. And
Yes. And I'm still here and listening. I just have to feed my dog, and I don't want to make everyone dizzy by walking around the house with me. But I am listening. And
yeah.
yeah, I don't have a new name yet. Work's been a little crazy, but I'm planning this weekend to really dig in and figure out who the next person's going to be. So
That's great. And
I will
maybe
let you know.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're at it, maybe you can figure out the possibilities for the next that would come up with three for the 2025. Um,
Hmm.
so that we just, don't doesn't have to be, final, but just basically, if you're going to have to dig in to find one, there might be two others that we can sort of get the start on because we know, sometimes, that we can't pull everything together for a particular one because we either don't have photos or we can't reach the donor if they're alive. And yeah, we don't have that problem with the people who've already passed on. They really don't object much. So that's kind of good. But keeping also in our cycle of trying to be able to do things from from different sectors. So uh, you got your work all ready to go, and thank you for for starting the next one. I promised Louise that once we figured it out, we would let her know. But I know that we've talked about there are two other people that you guys have been in contact with that had expressed desire to be able to sponsor one of the 2025 profiles. So we've got a little time, but once we get after the first of the year, that we should make a phone call to them and just let them know that we've already got one for, one sponsored and, would really like to be able to get it, secured if they would like to be able to do it. Because it'd be great if by the time we finish January that we had all three already taken care of.
Paul,
Yeah.
um, is there a plan to build up resources so that if there's a shortfall, we have something to fall back on for a sponsorship? You know,
Well, yeah, no, that's very good question. So what we do is throughout the year, we solicit donations to the general fund. And that allows us to be able to use that for either development of some projects.
okay,
And we also have sponsors that are regular sponsors that help us in terms of, especially in terms of the banner and flag program, because that program alone is basically is $12,000 a year.
okay,
So we have, we basically need consistent annual sponsors that donate, whatever sum of money, so that we always have that in particular funded. I mean, we could hold off on a project if we didn't have all the funding, but we can't hold off on the banner and flag program because we have a contract. So,
okay.
so that's basically that's a good question, and also so basically the comeback to the question is so rally as many people as you can to donate to the Revitalization Trust Fund. So
Okay.
and any kind of regular donation
Well,
obviously helps us out much more consistently.
do you have some kind of an annual appeal to likely sponsors to contribute to that?
Well, actually, what we're going to do, usually right around this time, we do an appeal of some type.
Okay,
Actually, a little further down the agenda, I will tell you about what I'm suggesting, and
okay,
uh, and we see if we can rally monies not only for the Revitalization Trust Fund General Fund, but also specifically for the four projects that we have that are just waiting for funding.
okay, good,
So tune in a minute or two, and we'll be there.
great.
Update on the town common box wrap. That we have I put together the whole package for the select board, and it's been submitted. I sent it out to you guys so that you could all get a chance to see what the final submission looks like.
Yeah, I thought it was very attractive.
Great. That's great. We really want it just to be fun, have some whimsy in it, uh,
Great.
be very positive and uplifting. And one of the primary criteria was to make it so that the design would actually integrate into the sort of garden-like area where these two clusters of boxes are. And as we've talked about before, one of the things that was the criteria is that, and when Park and Forestry and Ed, were when they were working with the consultants and putting together the new town common design, that one of the things that was in that project was to be able to do those box wraps. But the rest of the project got completed, and they were having trouble being able to figure out how to be able to manage this particular piece. So they came to us and just basically asked me, said, can you consult on this to help us get, to be able to figure out how to be able to do this, because it's, multiple boxes, they're different heights, different sizes, and, the traditional things of, having it look like, town, assets, or, having those kinds of things on it, they realized just didn't really fit with the whole, experience of the common, and also with the complexity of the boxes. And so I worked with them to be able to help them come up with a project, and Seymour Levy created the images, and also that we also had photographs of real Needham animals, because we wanted the whole thing to be very authentically Needham. So the grasses we used, we made sure that they were, grasses that were in the Northeast. We made sure that the animals were all ones who actually were photographed someplace in Needham.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I recognize the bunny. He lives in my yard.
it's true. It's funny because my wife and I go out for walks, and when we do, we usually rate the walk by the number of bunnies that we see. It's like a 3 bunny walk or a 5 bunny walk or something. So we definitely wanted to have bunnies included in the in the image. They're also, the birds that are there are also, local birds, and of course butterflies. So, when you look at it, and one of the things that was also part of the understanding the design was the fact that we created something that could be actually on the base, could be wrapped around all the boxes of different sizes, and still look integrated when all of them are wrapped as one, basically sort of tall grass image. And then and the sky part will wrap onto the top of the box, and there'll be the cloud and probably a butterfly, and so on the top of the boxes. So that if you're looking from the buildings, the second-story buildings in Town Hall also, that you'll see the tops of the boxes, and you'll get that view of it also. But the other piece is that we're applying the box wrap first, and then the individual animals will be applied second, so that they can be evenly distributed across the different boxes. And each box will have a slightly different composition of animals. So, you go to one side of the common versus the other side of the common, where these boxes are, and they'll have different animal, positioning, so that they look interesting. And one of the things that was also fun about this is, when I was talking to one of the select board members about it, is they said, you've got a toadstool, but you don't have a toad. And I said, you're absolutely right. We missed the toad. So I went back to Seymour and said, let's see if we can get an image of a Needham toad. And so, and so that Susie, who is the photographer, said, "Yeah, I've got toads," and so she sent us over some toads, and now there is a toad
Okay.
that can sit on a toadstool, or can be any place else in the in the grasses, on any of the boxes. So that'll be in there too. So that's basically the update on the box, and I haven't heard when, what select board meeting that they will bring it up for their review and hopefully approval. But as soon as I do, I'll send an announcement out, and you guys will know as soon as we do.
Seymour Levy is the only one that does this for this.
He's the only one who did the graphic arts for
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So, let's see, we took care of that. In-process benches. We have actually 3 benches still. So don't worry, Eric, we're going to get more practice. We have 3 benches that are in process. One is one for Avery Square. Right now, there is a bench in Avery Square in the Common that just has no plaque on it at all. All the other ones do, but this one particularly doesn't. So I called up Ed Olson and said, "Hey, if we have somebody who'd really like to be able to have a celebration bench on the Common, and there's just one without it, without a plaque, so could we swap it out and move that bench to another place?" And he said, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem." So we have the locations, and right now we're just putting together the paperwork for the submission to the select board to be able to have it just accepted to the town, and then the donor will basically just submit the funds, and we'll order the bench. So that's one. Second is one at Memorial Park, and this was pretty neat because Memorial Park is a place where there's just there are a variety of benches around there, and there's of course the monuments and that kind of thing. But one of the people who was really heavily involved in the building of the or the putting the second story on the what do you call it, the athletic building there. What do they call it? They call it
what they call
it.
it. It's a small one, yeah.
It's the one that they just rebuilt.
Yeah.
But they, if you come into the Memorials parking lot, it's the building right at the back there. And I wish I could remember the name of it, but that's basically the building that when it needed a second story, that that the Sokols got involved and were instrumental. Ron Sokol basically was a contractor, figured out how to be able to do all the engineering that had to be done to be able to put the second story on, and then they brought in people and crews and people just and citizens who came in and actually put the second story on that building. So he has a lot of connection to there and other things that happened in Memorial Park, and so she wanted to be able to do something for Ron, who unfortunately is um, not able to get out and be with the people that he loves. But but this has been such a life, um, just a positive life experience for all the things that he's been able to do around that area, that she really wanted to do a bench for him. So we've been in touch with the Memorial um, Park Committee, um, and so they're totally approved of the particular idea and the location. And so now we basically just have to put the bench into a proposal and be able to send it to them directly, so we can get it in process. But that'll probably be ordered within, I would hope, within the next month. So we will probably have these three benches will probably be all installed in the spring, since they take about 8 to 10 weeks to be able to come in. And the third one is the one we've talked about before, which is at the Amity Path, where the ramp comes up to the end, and you take a left and walk onto the sort of boardwalk area that they have there. Well, right there at the end, we'll have a bench that will be there, which will be a celebration bench to a friend and I guess a long-term friend of Tom Leary, who was the ex-police chief of the town. And he really wanted to do something to, to memorialize this person who was very special to him. And so that's the third one. So that's what's in process, and I'll let you know. It's just basically me putting together the package to, to get the submissions to the select board or to Memorial Field Committee. So those once the paperwork is finished, that I'll let you know at the next meeting. Probably they'll all be submitted by the next meeting in terms of the different projects. And then the last item is the idea of proposing an idea of being able to do a Zoom webinar that as a fundraiser. I thought, people are so busy going around to different things. We've tried, we've done postcards and those kinds of things, but really, people really aren't that connected with that kind of thing anymore. So I thought, if we were able to do a really interesting webinar, that we would be able to, talk to them about the different projects that are waiting for funding, and also, of course, rally them to be able to donate to the Revitalization Trust Fund, potentially even during the webinar. So I'm working right now to be able to put together I wouldn't call it a brochure, but basically an ebook that has the 4 projects that are waiting for funding right now, and so that we have a document that we can not only talk from, but we will have slides from and that kind of thing, and that we can start to distribute, and that we can also talk about as we get into the season. So the webinar will be one piece of it, but then we can also distribute this document electronically to a whole variety of people, and ask them to donate to the fund. So what do you think about that idea?
Sounds good.
I think it's a great idea. We just got to figure out how to distribute it. Emails. We don't have that much action on Facebook, but I think it's a great idea.
What do you think, Jessica?
I think that sounds good. One question I had, and I am not a social media person, but I think a lot of people are gravitating from Facebook to Instagram. Do we do anything on Instagram?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Let's just say that we can.
Yeah. I mean, I would have, honestly, I could I would have to like figure out how to use it, but I'm sure my kids could show me. But I mean, I'm like sort of a passive person on Facebook. That's it. I'm really not a social media person, but I think my sense is that Instagram tends to be a little more visual, which could be good for us because I think you
Yeah.
could get some great photographs of some of the things we've done around town. And they would be, the posts would be pretty appealing, I think, um, visually.
It could be shared more easily. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
We can do that. I can set up an Instagram account and get that together.
To publicize the kind of thing the kinds of things we're talking about.
Yeah, and the other thing too is we can still broadcast our post to Facebook, but also simultaneously do it to Instagram and probably Reels, since people, we can put together some Reels that would that's I talk to a lot of people who all basically say on Instagram the thing that they look at most is Reels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll see what I can find out about that. Like I said, I'm probably gonna have to get my kids to show it to me because I don't really use it, but I'll see what I can figure out.
Yeah, you find that out, but I'll get the account set up, and probably certainly by during next week, and so we can be up and running, and then we'll and I'll also communicate with Amy, because she will become also another administrator on the account, since we represent the town, that she needs to have the oversight of making sure that everything gets posted, or if anything happens on the site, that if necessary, if one of us weren't around, she could intervene and be able to correct it, or do whatever is necessary to fix it. So yeah, so I will do that. I will get that set up. And
When are you thinking of this webinar?
I was thinking of doing it in the first week of December.
Okay. So
Oh, that's soon.
in like
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't need a lot of time to be able. I've just got to get the document itself finished,
Okay.
and I'm working my way through that as fast as I can. Uh, the uh, the other pieces of it are basically just I have a Zoom account that allows me to be able to do webinars. So that's no problem in terms of setting that up.
Mhm.
And I'll check with JP and see if there are any town considerations in terms of being able to do that.
I think just because people are going to be there, we may have to, I don't know if it's a meeting, I'll have to check into that, but I know it's going to have to be posted somehow.
Okay. Yeah, if you can just find out how we do that. I mean,
Yeah.
because we're obviously it's not a meeting. It's
Right.
obviously a for public
Yeah.
seminar basically. But the webinar is and the thing is, the more places it's posted, the more opportunity we have to be able to have people show up. So so, so
And
that's okay too.
and let me check because we may end up having maybe should post it as a meeting because like a special meeting, and then it gets recorded and gets put on the the YouTube channel and stuff like that for later use when if anybody ever wanted to see it in the future of what we're looking for in terms of projects, it would be in that archive.
Okay. Yeah, well, just find out what if you would find out whatever
Yeah. Uh,
the town
uh,
feels is the right way to be able to handle it, and we'll just we'll figure it out.
okay. It'll
How,
probably be Monday because I think that I know Katie's out of the office tomorrow at a conference, and I'm not positive if Louise is in or not. I can talk to her, but
All righty. And so just in that, you can find out, is that something that uh, would the town have to set up the webinar, or can I set up the webinar and just link it
I
through?
think we would probably set up the webinar. We would probably use the same channel that we have right here. So I mean, I can get the link and stuff set up and then go from there because then because it's a meeting and it's town focused, we should probably use the town's resources. That way we're not in that questionable area. And the reason why I just want to post it just in case it does become topics or that we're not in violation of an open meetings act or anything. So, and it's really easy to do. We would just, let the notify the clerk's office the same way. Basically, the agenda would be special meeting of, the NCRTF to discuss, future projects, webinar and discussion and
Well, here's the thing, though, that what we're looking to do is be able to use it as a fundraiser. So that's the key thing. I mean, we're not just going to just tell them about the projects. We are going to actively, um, solicit
recruit
them to
for
be able yeah,
yeah,
to
let me
oh,
I forgot about this is this is the one group that can actually fund, well I should say two of them, well, the two groups and that I'm in charge of can actually, I think, are the only two groups that actually fundraise in the town. So
yeah.
let me double check exactly the way that it has to get done then.
Okay. Yeah, that's great because we're absolutely the intention of it is to be able to ask people while they're on the webinar
Right.
to be able to donate to the fund.
and,
So, or sponsor a project or do those kind of things. So,
and how are you going to communicate this to people?
well, we were just talking about that we'll put it out through, well, our new Instagram account will be part of it. We'll do,
Okay, what we were
you
just
know,
discussing. Okay,
yeah, we'll do it through social media. We'll also, of course, do it through our own newsletter. Uh,
okay.
and my guess is that if it's if it's appropriate, that Amy will be able to put it out through the town, all the news you need them,
Oh, that would be good. Yeah,
and we'll also send it off to the Needham Observer,
right.
so we can get it basically get connected with those sources. So, and of course we'll post it to a Facebook page, Needham MA, um, which is not a town. Well, it's the town one, but it's not
The
overseen by
town
the
one.
town. Yeah, it's a private thing. But it has thousands of users. So
Good.
and it's a nonprofit looking to be invite people. So we're not soliciting on that. We're just telling them that it's happening. So I
I
don't
see.
think there'd be any trouble with being able to post that on Needham MA.
Okay,
So
thank you.
yeah, yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
Paul.
yes.
Um, I've never really been clear on this, so this might be a good time to ask. What is our like formal like relationship with the town exactly, right? Because we're a private organization, right? Not
No,
private nonprofit. No?
no, No, we are a town of Needham trust fund.
Okay.
So all donations that come to the fund are all tax deductible because when you're basically donating to the town, they don't tax you.
Hmm. Okay.
But
Because
it's
it's
not
All
a
right.
501,
but it is not a
Not a
501(c)(3) or
five.
any type of,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
which
So,
can create problems for getting other types of donations because there's like companies, for instance, have a lot of difficulty donating to municipalities versus a 501.
Okay.
that's right. And the thing is though that we've so far, and in terms of keeping this simple, so it's manageable, that once you get into a 501(c)(3) or a version of that, number one, you have to have a board of directors. Number two, you have to approve minutes for approve and have uh, all the legal aspects of a 501(c)(3). You have a lot more responsibility that basically is channeled through that. Now, what we've also found is that although there have been some places where they won't donate to a town because of that, that that happens basically in terms of some grants, but virtually 98% or 99% of all the money that we raise is from private donations. So, we really have, other than the grants that we've had from the NCAC, which were the first ones we've had ever, um, basically 100% of our money has always come from just private donations from people of the town over the course of 25 years. So, it is true that if your approach to this was to go after grants to be able to do it, that it probably would be more of a resistance point with certain types of things. But basically, that hasn't been our approach to being able to bring the money in. So
Okay.
that's sort of where we're at, and
Okay.
and it's worked very successfully.
Yeah, and don't forget the big one. You have to file taxes then.
That's right. You have
You
to
have to
follow
vote.
that.
There's, a lot of accounting. You file quarterly reports depending on the amount of the funds that you have. You have to expend an average of 7% of your funds over 5 years. And I forgot what is it? 7% of the funds, an average of over 5 years. And then if you don't, you have to submit a plan as to why you're not submitting those funds. And then that becomes an issue if you have maintenance funds, because how do those interact with the um like fundraising funds? And
Yeah.
then if you dissolve, it becomes a whole thing of how the money has to get distributed out from the fund. I was part of some 501s back in my other days, and I remember there was a lot of it, and it got into really because one of them wanted to end up folding. It's easier to spend the money than because you have to give the money back.
Yeah.
Mm.
So basically, there are the details as
Yeah.
to why we would prefer not to go that way.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. No, that makes sense. Thanks for that. I was never really clear. I never really exactly knew what that was. So
Right.
thank you.
Yeah.
Paul, is there some kind of a card or summation of what, like what it takes to be a donor? Like the fact that you said it's tax deductible, I didn't know that. Just the basic facts. Is that so that if you were trying to solicit from somebody, you could hand them the card and they would have that as a referral as to what the basic uh, points are?
Well, actually, this is an interesting point. One of the things that we can do, and I'm happy to get this done, is that we basically people, if they sign up for the newsletter, that in the newsletter it explains all of this. Uh,
Oh.
Talks about the
Okay.
tax
Can I
deductibility.
sign up for the newsletter? Because
Yes, yes. If you just go to needhamma.gov forward
okay.
slash NCRTF, you go to our page.
Okay. I didn't
Yeah,
know that existed.
yeah, yeah. Right on the
Okay.
the right size. We'll get you up to speed with all all the crazy stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, if you go to the right side of the page there, you can sign up for the newsletter right there.
Okay. I will do that as soon as I
And
get off the call.
Yeah, and one of the things that we also want to do is we want to be able to do a sort of an additional campaign to be able to encourage people to just join the newsletter
Right, that's good.
because the more people we have in the newsletter, the more times we have, the more opportunities we have to be able to have people show up at from Needham to the World. The more opportunities we have for people to realize that doing some kind of consistent donation
Right,
is really valuable, and that it helps us be able to fund these projects,
yeah,
and it also just keeps them in communication with what projects we're doing.
yeah. Communication is key.
Yeah, yeah. And as we know, it's a difficult thing to do, especially today when it used to be that the single source was send it through a newspaper that showed up on everybody's door. And so, if it was in there, at least you knew where to look. But now, because we have so many different sources of information, that
Yeah.
it's hard to know which source is going to have the information that's actually relevant to the things that you're doing.
The challenge.
Yeah. So hopefully that the Needham Observer is helping to fill some of that gap. And certainly Amy is trying
Yes,
to,
that's a good publication.
yeah, and certainly Amy is trying to do that with all the news you need them. So
Right, they're both good. Yeah,
yeah, so good sources. And the chamber, the chamber is also um, good. So, all of these things will be posted. In fact, the chamber is one of the other places that we are definitely going to get on the regular list of being able to submit this to, because there may be other chamber members. Well, there are certainly a lot of other chamber members within the town that would be interested in coming to some of these different events that we do. So,
good.
but the other point is, and when you're talking about a card, is that I can print up a bunch of the business cards for the Revitalization Trust Fund. And on the card, it will say, all donations are tax deductible, and it can have information on the card that basically tells them more about the fund itself.
Yeah, that would be good.
And then all of you can have them.
Right.
And if you go to an event, or somebody says, "Hey, do you know more about it?" And said, "Here, I can just give you this card," and that'll also take them to the website. We can put a QR code on the card
Right.
itself.
Yeah,
So if they
perfect.
want to just scan it and be able to go right to the Needham MA webpage,
Yeah,
that they can see that right away. So I will get her done. All right. So any other thoughts or comments? Any other ideas or other things we want to make sure we cover before we wrap it up?
As soon as you put that little quick one pager together for the webinar, share it with us so we can try to share it
Oh,
our
yeah.
with our email contacts as well.
yeah, right.
Especially if you're going to try to do it in the first week of December.
I will do that. Absolutely. All right. Well,
Yeah,
if there is no other further business, then I would make a motion
oh,
to,
well, if we,
no,
no, not yet,
not yet. We need to make sure we get the
for
next meeting date
December.
down. That's right.
Ah,
Thank you, Carol.
yes.
So, what do we want to
Yeah,
do
I
as
was
far as
just
December
trying to
goes to
look.
keep away from everyone being away somewhere?
Where's my book?
12th, 19th.
I could do 19.
I think the
I guess
19th is better for me between the
yeah,
two.
I could do both, but I like 19 better as well.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, 19 works for me.
All righty. I'm just going to jump in
JP,
here.
just make a note to send us our thingy.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna do it right now.
There
That way everybody that way I said it too soon and no one has it. But yeah,
we go.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like there was, especially when I forwarded the fact that you didn't get it. So,
Well, we made it.
but
And JP, just something I was going to just mention to you, that if maybe if you're around the office there and um, can check on it. I sent a message off to Miles. Maybe I've missed the email or something, but um, the Blue Tree banner.
Miles has been in Bali. He gets back on Monday. I've been very jealous of him because he's been gone for 2 weeks.
Well, the issue is that I need to have the banners um, like ASAP because they go up on December 1st. And
Can you
I don't.
send me the email? Can you forward me what you sent him and I can see tomorrow? I mean, it's going to be a day because he's going to be back on Monday, but I'll see what I can do.
All right. Then, well, actually, why don't I do this? Why don't I just call Fast Signs and I'll ask them if they have it because he was taking care
Okay.
of it earlier and he may have taken care of it and then just, been away. So they may actually have the order already set to go
Right.
because they were
Okay.
just reproducing basically exactly what they had um, previously when we said that we did 4 or 5 years ago and they just wore out. So we're just putting, but I just want to make sure we stay on schedule for those too. So
Okay.
cool. Well, I'll check that, and if they say no, we don't know, then I will send you an email.
Okay. That sounds good.
All right, great. All right, so December 12th, that looks good.
Wait,
Number
And
I thought you
19.
December
said the
19th.
19th,
19th.
excuse me,
19th,
12th. Why did
yeah.
I say no? Man,
Yeah.
great. All right. So that is fine in my calendar, and we are good to go. All righty then. Well, now I will make a motion for us to conclude the meeting of the Revitalization Trust Fund. And do I have a second?
In a second.
Second, yeah.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And with that, thank you very much for all your work and all the great things that you're helping bring into life. This is a very cool thing, and I think it's just absolutely marvelous that here we are 25 years down the road. You know, it's just
Yeah.
a very cool thing. So have a good night. Thank you so much, and we will tune in December on the
Happy
9th.
Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy
Happy
Bye. Good
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
night,
Right.
everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Lots of turkey. Okay.
Night.